The rifle trembled in Sarah's hands as the barn door creaked open. Behind her, 3 terrified children clung to her torn skirt, their stomachs empty, their eyes wide with fear. She was just a girl herself, but now the only shield her siblings had left. And then, he appeared. Marcus Kane, a rancher known across the prairie for his stern ways and haunted eyes. He should have turned them in. He should have walked away. Instead, he whispered 4 words that would change everything. "All 4 of you, get in." But why would a hardened rancher risk everything for 4 starving children who weren't his own? Before we dive into this powerful true lifestyle story of survival, sacrifice, and unexpected family, take a moment to support our channel. Hit that like button if you believe stories like these deserve to be told, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and share this video with someone who loves heartwarming tales of hope against the odds. It helps us bring more stories just like this to you. The November wind slipped through the gaps in the old barn walls sharp as a knife. Inside, Sarah Henderson pressed her back against the splintered boards, clutching her father's rifle with trembling hands. She was only 14, but tonight she was mother, father, and protector all in one. Behind her, 3 small faces peered from the hay. Tommy, just 8 years old, clutched his wooden toy horse like it could keep him safe. The twins, Mary and Martha, huddled close together, their cheeks hollow from too many nights without food. Their breaths came in shallow gasps, little more than whispers in the dark. Then came the sound that froze Sarah's blood. Footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Whoever was outside wasn't wandering by accident. Through a crack in the wall, she caught sight of a shadow. A tall, broad-shouldered figure moving with the patience of a man who knew his prey had nowhere to run. And then, a voice. Deep, calm, weathered by years on the prairie. "I know you're in there." Sarah's grip tightened on the rifle. She'd promised Mama, before the fever took her, that she would keep the little ones safe. And she wasn't about to break that promise tonight. The barn door creaked open, spilling a thin shaft of light across the dirt floor. Sarah raised the rifle higher, her whole body shaking. But the man who stepped inside didn't look like a drifter or a thief. His hat brim shadowed his face, but Sarah recognized him instantly. Marcus Kane, the rancher from the Circle K. A man known for hard work, stricter rules, and a silence that carried its own kind of weight. He didn't reach for his gun. He didn't lunge forward. Instead, he simply looked at the children. Really looked at them. Their pale faces, their torn clothes, the hunger etched into every fragile breath. "How long since you've eaten?" His voice was low, almost gentle. Sarah's finger trembled on the trigger. "Stay back," she warned. Kane lifted his hand slowly, not in weakness but in peace. "I'm not here to harm you, girl. I'm here because I see 4 children with nowhere left to go." Then, after a long silence, he said the words that would shift everything. "All 4 of you, get in." Behind him waited a wagon, stocked with food, blankets, and a chance at survival. But could Sarah trust him? Sarah's heart had barely steadied when the sound of hooves shattered the fragile calm. 5 riders thundered down the road, their silhouettes cutting sharp against the dusky horizon. Marcus Kane's eyes narrowed. He knew who it was before the lead rider even dismounted. Briggs, the man who now claimed Sarah and her siblings as payment for their father's gambling debts. Briggs's voice was like gravel wrapped in arrogance. "Kane, I hear you've got something of mine. 4 children. Henderson's brood." From the shadows, Sarah's blood ran cold. Property. That's how Briggs spoke of them. Not lives, not children. Collateral. Kane didn't flinch. His hand hovered near his Colt, steady as a stone. "They're under my protection," he said. Briggs laughed, sharp and cruel. "Do you know what 4 healthy children fetch in the right markets? Don't play the hero, Kane." For a heartbeat, the prairie itself seemed to hold its breath. One wrong move and it would all be over. But Kane's voice stayed calm, almost conversational. "I know what they're worth to me." The standoff stretched like a wire ready to snap. And in that moment, Sarah realized this rancher wasn't just shielding them. He was willing to fight for them. The standoff ended with Briggs retreating into the night, his threats echoing like thunder. Sarah's knees nearly buckled with relief, but Marcus Kane wasted no time. He loaded the children into his wagon under the cover of darkness. The ride felt unreal. For weeks, Sarah had only known hunger and fear, but now she smelled bread and dried meat tucked among Kane's supplies. The twins leaned against each other, their eyes drooping for the first time in days. Tommy, still clutching his wooden horse, fought sleep but eventually surrendered, his head resting on Sarah's shoulder. When Kane's ranch house rose against the horizon, it looked almost like a dream. 2 stories of timber and stone, windows glowing soft yellow against the dark prairie sky. A dog barked once, then quieted at Kane's word. Inside, warmth wrapped around them like a blanket. Mrs. Chen, the housekeeper, took one look at the children and ushered them in without hesitation. "The blue room," she said gently, "and the green one next to it." Sarah wanted to protest, to say they couldn't impose, but her siblings' faces lit up at the sight of real beds and quilts. For the first time in weeks, they looked like children again. That night, the children slept soundly for the first time in months. Clean quilts, warm baths, and the gentle care of Mrs. Chen made the fear of the barn feel like a distant nightmare. Upstairs, little Mary whispered, "Sarah, are we home now?" "Are we?" Sarah's chest tightened. Home had always meant their old homestead, the oak tree where Mama was buried, the place they thought they'd never lose. But before she could answer, Kane's voice came from the doorway, calm and steady. "Yes," he said simply. "You're home." Later, Sarah found him on the porch, staring into the prairie darkness where Briggs had disappeared. She asked the question burning inside her, "Why risk everything for us?" Kane's jaw tightened. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of loss. "Because once, I had children too, and I couldn't save them. But tonight, I could save you." The words sank deep into Sarah's heart. Briggs would return, papers, guns, and threats in hand. But for now, hope had returned too. 4 children had found shelter, and a man who'd lost everything had rediscovered what it meant to be a father. Sometimes the lost don't just survive. Sometimes they find their way home.